Good morning. I see. Your boyfriend. Your boyfriend's working hard.
Loman dang gun bun jang ba yang lan jang za lo bang ge lon zhen zhen yan zhen zhan yan da nam da ra sa ren jin yan dan zhen zhen si zhen yi jian du ga le bang zhen gong da si be chen ra ra ma re men dong dong Gozo pen lan pu jin da zi yan lan chu ju yang den zon zhu de jin ni mo ni lo le jin cha zhuan zhu zi jin ma re men zi do ma yu gu jin yan jin zi ran jin nan den den da jin sa ji da zi yan den Jazen duyen bu chudan chudan chunyin jinji dalim inzin janggal yang lain maram bhajana de 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 Mara 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 bhajana de den zeden je je chara zen je dalen de mon baraza Kodon denje jonglon tombaye lonje bobe no anduzo lonje lonje jengori danjingori jonje jonda gadin jonda majeba polo denje denje beje jendo jema me bala goera donde dengo zongo bajin dengo nan chanza jinje zoje o shiwani zaram lanje do tu jinje zonzo branje dozo kangisha zanda yemi mangi zara zembe no rash Sembezewe sendumba vendo gunmi gendo zenjurun tuje dama gune jiren jiden sum je koncha pe nombe mokar beshe pe tirin dale yinzuru shon jinzolin be men dongo zeren jewe nam doran jen jedo zenzo beje enden chombar be manju nen dale yinzuru shon golo jwariyan devada tome nyen cholan jin da chujun jen nim bawazo zamnin jin chonam jen da e shon Quand le Dogaran Jenin Bengolo and Dengun Jonga Vishazardo, Nimbidens, Baby Nanjurova, Jimmy Vezra Jenda Ejon, Redon Jambajin, Generale, Bombelon Lepo, Betan Gendron, Dojin Zemo, Nivam Jambi Anjena Ejon, Namonguru, Jenin Bamendan Jezala Punjaran, Jujin, the Jigala Mentanawa. Paden la meja jenda ejon, kangi dala rigala vada, doji tenje mema namazo, lavanza da ungrishin lambe, meji tenje la menda ejon, yende sanje kunda nyanaya, kadin sanje kunne lambe gönzare, namisha la zoande, azondre la nanjela anjur, kanda juju dange jidena, deshe la marjurba kansuda, tende dambe chujenjel bebe, sembarande vantadan Jeje Namoya Damba Aike Dano Dani Jingi and Rumda Dame Genandam Duagunji Janam Jizamba Panjeke do Sosur Teljunji Majur Namgita Danyam Besenjen Hamje Namdo Tenji Devala Nameva Yanda Vanzobi Sanji Jimbo Horim Burchela Chine Jangu Brasha Dei Chedu Tiba Chimbe Shunru Yazıcımbo şivalin zebi, çancısın çövalan batini, sulşindu sene, nyamsulan var gyuğundu, samba çancı çodu, kutye batam. Çö sembi, kundu çöpan dağyan, lekbar sartade, sembarman var şu. So, as I always reminding this, generally, in this kind of activity itself, it's considering meritorious activity, virtuous activity. And then now, in order to transform that meritorious activity even to the greater, which means the cause to achieve enlightenment, then it is very necessary or important that we need to try to mingle or mixed within this virtuous activity that awakened mind. That awakened mind is actually, it is so simple and it's very easy to mingle or mixed with any kind of virtuous actions. It is not something very complicated. One hand, it is not so complicated, but on the other hand, if we mingle it, this intention, if we mixed it, this intentions, the awakened mind, that it can, the action itself becomes very great potential for oneself to have a great result. And these kind of things actually, for us, it is so important and necessary that we need some sort of like a great antidote to destroy our many kind of mistakes or many kind of misdeed, that to destroy or to get rid of that kind of things, that we need some sort of like a great antidote. And then now mingling or mixing awakened mind with any kind of virtuous action itself, it's the great antidote that it can destroy or it can get rid of the many kind of like our misdeed. And then not only misdeed, but also that mingling this awakened mind or the mixing this awakened mind within our any kind of work, meritorious activity, it can also transform that actions into the cause of enlightenment. When it is transforming into the cause of enlightenment, it is not just becomes the cause of enlightenment, it also becomes cause to achieve our circumstances, wishes, fulfilling our circumstances wishes as well. So that kind of many reasons, has there to why all those in the past great masters always strongly recommending this mingle or the mix this awakened mind within any kind of virtuous activities. So understand that, and based on understanding this, then try to mingle or mix this intention within this meritorious activity of listening and contemplating Dharma teaching. In this way, that I'm going to listen this Mahayana scripture, which is composed by Shantideva, to call Way of Bodhisattva's Life, that I'm going to listening this, and then whatever I understand, I will going to try my best to put into practice. Purpose is to, for the sake of motherly sentient beings, in order to lead them, in order to free them from this cyclic existence of 6 realms, and then in order to free them from the cause of cyclic existence, which is karma and afflictive emotions, and then in order to free them from the dualistic mind, and then complete to lead into enlightenment. For that purpose, that I'm going to listen and I'll try my best to put into practice. With that intention itself is called the awakened mind. And based on that intention, mixing this intention with this meritorious activity of listening Dharma teaching and contemplating actions. And then top of that, and then the conduct, the way when we listen Dharma teaching, then the conduct should be listen carefully, which means now try to focus your ear to the words of teachings, the voice of teachings completely, and then try not to mix while listening Dharma teachings, try not to mix any sorts of emotions like pride or hatred, jealous, desire, or any kind of those emotions. Try not to have it within one's mind. And even though it comes, but try to say that this is the moment that I should focus on this Dharma teaching, and then I should contemplate on its meaning. So this is not the moment that I should spend my time to generate or the arising those thoughts or emotions, and tell yourself, and that's how you should reduce and subdue those emotions. And then grabbed it or hold it, that whatever the number one, the first thing is try to hold it, the meaning of these teachings as much as we can in our mind. Try to hold it. That holding it like this, meaning it is the same as I told you yesterday. It is like sowing a seed. And then also that if even further, that if you are able to memorize even the word that which is describing the meaning of these teachings, and if you are able to hold those words, and then try to hold those words as well, the meaning and the word, try to hold it, and that should be the conduct of listening Dharma teachings. So these are the 2 steps that before we actually begin the teachings, that we should prepare in this way to listen in Dharma teachings. And then actual Dharma teachings, so we are teaching this way of Bodhisattva's life, which has the main 4 themes, and then the 10 chapters. So we are here in this 4th chapters. the first theme is completed, that how, in short, that how to what's the benefit of having this awakened mind, and in order to have it, the beneficial awakened mind within oneself, how one should prepare, and then the second chapter is guiding that, and then the third chapters, and then the after preparations, the actual how one can have this awakened mind within oneself. That vow, Bodhisattva's vow, and that to be completed. And now we are in the second theme, that after having this, receiving this Bodhisattva's vow, and now from this second theme is guiding us that what we received it, that how to maintain and how to protect that, make sure that how one can make sure that it is not transgressed it. And then now, in order to make sure that how one shouldn't, how to not transgress it, then we should understand all those precepts that which we described it. And then there's a root precepts and then branch precepts. Then root precepts are the more important, that if we occur, if we, cultivate any of those, if we encounter with any of those precepts, it can make transgress our commitment, our Bodhisattva's vow. And then that we describe that, the accordance with the individual's capabilities, that you can start with this 3 ways, 3 steps. That great one is the holding the all 20 precepts, that great, faculties of Mahayana practitioner can practice this, avoiding all these 20 precepts. And then mediocre Mahayana practitioners can practice with these 4 precepts to not make sure that not transgresses any of those 4 precepts. Then, which means you can tell yourself that I am maintaining this Bodhisattva's vow. And then the lesser or the lowest Mahayana practitioners can practice with the 1 precepts, that as long as you are not breaking this 1 precepts, then you can tell that I maintain this Bodhisattva's vow in this way. But what we need to understand is that we need to improve ourselves. That first we can begin with the 1 precepts if oneself is not being able to maintain the rest of others. Then gradually we should also try to move forward, move further, to increase, to try to be a mediocre Mahayana practitioner. And then the greatest, the highest, the Mahayana practitioner. That's how we can develop. But somehow, as long as we are not break any of those precepts, then we can consider that I didn't break what I received Bodhisattva's vow. And then after that, describing the precepts, and then now that the Shantideva again trying to give us some sort of like a sense of carefulness to not to lose that what you received, the vow or commitment, in order not to lose that. And then, yes, always this we need to understand the benefit or the potential of keeping that vow, and as well as we also has to understand the defeat or the fault of losing that vow. By understanding both of them, then can give us some sort of like a sense of carefulness. So the beneficial or the potential he already described in the chapter number 1. Now from here he is describing the fault or the defeat, that if you didn't maintain this vow or commitment, whatever you received the vow, then what will going to be the consequences? And those are the 4. I described you as a 4 type of persons. If you are being like the first type of person, that is the very danger and the most worst, scenarios case. that could happen, the consequences. And then the second one, and even second one, also we're going to have the great consequences of breaking this vow. And then the third type of person, and it also has a disadvantage of kind of like reaching to the destiny, that it will prolong you to reach to the destinies, that it will delay you, it will postpone you to achieve that what you're really looking for through this engaging into this path. And then the greatest one is not losing any of those commitment. After once we take it, then try our best, put hardship to not to break any of those root downfall, and that we're considering as the best one. So that if we could, that is the what that we should try to do it. If not, at least not go lower than the third one. And then after that, then yesterday that we also, the Shantideva also tried to give some different idea to raise a sense of carefulness. That he gave us this like a practicing spiritual general, and particularly this way of Bodhisattva's life, the way of Bodhisattva's life, which means this the Mahayana practice in short. That Mahayana practice, that these are the practice, something that you cannot really rely completely upon others, that you should take the responsibility your own, that you are your own kind of like a protector, or that you are your own regulator. That's what you should understand. And with that he is trying to letting us some sense of generate some sense of kind of like a diligent, and indirectly he wants us to have some sort of like a diligent, not to just that describing the four type of persons. He is trying to have he is trying to let us have some sort of like this is something I should try to maintain. And then now this yesterday, after that 2.5 stanzas, that he is trying to let us understand, not to just have a sense of this is what I should do, but you should take serious or put effort, that you should try your best to doing that. And then after that, he also mentioning this kind of like he also trying to this stanza number 15 to stanza number 20, this 6th stanza, that he is also trying to let us have some sense of carefulness by understanding your potentials, your capabilities, and then how he is introducing your capability. And then this based on this that while we having all this gathering, while we gathered all these 3 conditions, and this is the right moment, this is the right conditions that you gathered in order to practice generally spiritual path, particularly this Mahayana path, to maintain this Bodhisattva's vow, that you are capable, you are kind of like as long as you gathered all these 3 conditions, which is in short, actually it is the same as we study in a Mondo teaching too, that it is describing about the precious human rebirth. That precious human rebirth, that how Shantideva, he picked from the, when we describe the 18 qualities, it is so vast. He picked it from those 18 qualities, very point one, that only 3 points he picked it, but what he pointed, but he picked the point. These are the most important from the 18 qualities. That how he picked it, that in the 15th stanza number 15, the appearance of the Buddhas in the world, Actually, this is taught in within a 10 favorable conditions, that 5 from the relying on others. Sanje Jönna, Buddha appeared in the world and he taught, and then teaching is remain, right? These are the 5 things, and there are followers, and then there are some persons that who is willing to spread, who is willing to teach that he's teaching his ideas. These are the 5 favorable conditions has to come from outside. And then the 5 favorable conditions comes from one side, one's own self, which are kind of like having a right human form in it, and born in a center, and then having all faculties, and then and then not kind of like committed any very heinous actions, not committed any heinous actions. And then that having a sense of faith towards the spiritual path. 5. Actually, among these 5, the last one is the most important. This all saying that if you have all these conditions, which makes you a great, which makes you a 100% capability. But among these favorable conditions, the faith is the most important that you need to have. Even you don't have right faculties, but if you have a faith in the spiritual path, that really can help you to be able to practice the spiritual path. Somehow it will going to disturb you a little bit, but even though you have rest of other, if you don't have a faith in the spiritual, then that's done. You have nothing. You cannot do a spiritual practice, even though you are a perfect human, even though you are born in a center, even though you have all faculties, even though you didn't committed any heinous action. But if you don't have a faith in spiritual, you are done. You are away from spiritual. Right? That's how he picked it here. The appearance of the Buddhas in the world. Appearance of the Buddhas in the world is the source of remaining teaching, is the source of teaching, is the source of remaining teaching, is the source of having follower, is the source of having some sort of like a person that who's willing to teach. That appearance Buddha in the world is the kind of like the main characters of having rest of others as well. And that's how he picked it, Actually, in short, he is describing the precious human rebirth, but he is not describing all these 18 qualities. From these 18 qualities, he's picking that point. And then second, he's saying that, this is the one condition. And then true faith. That faith is mainly talking about having faith and confidence on the spiritual path. And especially here, spiritual path is the Mahayana path. And then Mahayana path, and after that, yes, the teacher who taught this Mahayana teachings, that Buddha Shakyamuni, or any kind of Buddhas. That the true faith, and then the Dharma, the teachers, Sangha, true faith towards this triple gem. And then attain of human form. Yes, you see, attain of human form. Now this is really talking about that free from other 8 types of beings. That 4 types of beings are non-human, and 4 others are within a being, human. Freeing from those 8 types of beings is considering as the attainment of human form. He just made it very short. So gathering all these 3 conditions, whoever gathered all these 3 conditions is the kind of like becomes the right and aptitude for good. I think so. That's aptitude. It is that what it means. And aptitude for good means that you are capable. You are. So he is trying to let us have a sense of confidence that understanding these three conditions is gathered to you means you never give up. Means you have this potential. You have this capability to practice spiritual in general, particularly this Mahayana path, particularly this maintain this Bodhisattva swaha. You are capable. That as long as you gather these three conditions, never give up or never lost courage yourself. That maybe I'm not vessel enough, I am not capable, like that. Removed it, all these things. This is what he wants us to have it confident, that understanding, gathering these three conditions. And then by understanding that, and raise some sense of carefulness that, oh, I have all these conditions. No, now if I care a little bit, I will be able to do it. That's the one thing that he wants us to have some sense of carefulness in this practice, Mahayana path. And then particularly this maintain this Bodhisattva's vow. Actually, maintaining Bodhisattva's vow itself is the Mahayana path, actually. Don't think that maintaining Bodhisattva's vow and then the Mahayana path practice is something, two different things. It is one. That kind of like a maintaining Bodhisattva's vow itself is the practicing the Mahayana path. There's no any other Mahayana path than maintaining this Bodhisattva's vow. And then top of that, also he's adding this. Today indeed I am health and well. I have enough to eat and I am not in danger. Having all these three conditions, top of that, even person who ever have these additional conditions, these three additional conditions, having enough food, having enough good health, and then not having any harms from others, then that even makes you more capable to maintain it, more capable to practice it, this Mahayana path. But somehow this stanza number 16, that he is trying to let us understand that, but gathering all these three conditions plus those additional three conditions are very unreliable, because this itself is very uncertain. That also you need to understand at the same time. At the same time, you also have to have some sense that this gathering all these three conditions, additional extra these three conditions, is also very uncertain. Therefore, it is saying unreliable. That kind of moment is really unreliable. Which means indirectly what he is trying to say is that as soon as we have all these things, and don't wait it, just try it from there, start it from there. Don't wait it that, okay, now I have all these conditions, now I will begin next year, now I will start next month. Don't say that. He just wants us to have that sense of care that after we understanding all these conditions and additional conditions, when we have it, then we need to have some sort of a care for ourselves to start right from there and try your best to practice, engage into Mahayana path. And then even my body is like something briefly learned, and plus this really body is also very uncertain, that we never know that when it will going to fade, or when it will going to when we need to give up this, because this is just like we rent it, that one day we must give it back to its owner. The owner is lot of death. That lot of death will going to take your body someday, sooner or later, but for sure. And then yesterday that we went to this 17th stanza, and yet the way I act is such that I shall not regain a human life. Now this is something that talking based on that, without caring, maintaining this Mahayana, the Bodhisattva's vow or Mahayana practice. And then just just kind of like a flowing with what your mind tells you and what your mind's how to say, let you to do. If you just do it, follow it, then more or less that we will going to end up spending our whole time doing this 8 worldly dharma or those 4 mundane activities. Either within those activity we will going to spend our time if we just lessen our this mind, if we don't try to prevent those negative, if we just stay fluid in what is it, it's fluid, right? If you just flew with your mind, then your mind will going to tell you to do all these things. Then by doing all these things, then now we can really contemplate on those actions. Is there some actions that which we can really tell ourselves that these actions could become cause for me to achieve human again? That's what it is saying. And yet the way I act is such, this is based on without maintaining that Mahayana path. And then if you let flew yourself within whatever your mind says, then that's how you will going to end up spending your time, your life. And then what's the wrong if I am ending up spending my time in this way? Then it is saying there's no any one action point that which we can say that can become really cause for me to achieve precious human. Liberation is far, even precious human, that it is very hard to find within those actions that it can become really cause to achieve precious human rebirth again. Then we don't have to say, forget about liberation and enlightenment, if that's the case, right? The cause, which is the cause of enlightenment and liberation, definitely it is also cause to achieve precious human rebirth as well. So since this action is not even becoming a cause of precious human rebirth, then no need to say that it can become cause of liberation and cause of enlightenment. There's no way it can become. So this is, at least it is not becoming cause of that. If spending in this way of our life, then it doesn't become any of those actions doesn't become the cause of achieve again even a precious human rebirth, then what will going to happen? Then Shantideva answered, then and losing this my precious human form, my evil will be many, virtuous none. This is what will going to happen if you are not being able to achieve precious human rebirth again. And this is what will going to happen. And further also he is saying that here is now my chance for wholesome deed. But if I fail to practice virtue, what will be my lot? What should I do? Bewildered by the sorrow of the lower realms. This is kind of like a question. Let me read this in Tibetan here. Kanse keche kaldenya gewa dagi majena ngeson dunga konumba dese dagi chijar yus. That kange tse here is now. Right now is the moment. Right now is the moment. That is the moment that you have a chance for wholesome deed. Why you have a chance to wholesome deed? It's already described in stanza number 15 and 16, right? Because right now we have these 3 conditions, plus this additional small 3 conditions, such as like a good health, having enough food, and then there's no any harm, danger. These are small additional conditions, but it is very much good to have this condition in order to practice. 2. So these are the things. That here is now my chance for wholesome deed, because we have all these conditions right now. Therefore, we are, here is now my chance for wholesome deed. Wholesome deed. Now here in this wholesome deed, we need to understand also what does it mean really wholesome deed here now. And we can say generally that we have these all conditions that which we can make ourselves to practice this 10 virtuous action general. Now particularly this, when it is talking about wholesome deed, it is now we need to focus on this Mahayana path. This is main point here it is talking about. As I told you earlier, Mahayana path is none other than Bodhisattva's vow. Here it's talking about that you have this chance for wholesome deed to practice the Mahayana path, to practice the Bodhisattva's way of life. Bodhisattva's way of life, which we can practice through this three things, that refrain from misdeed, collecting the positive actions, acting for the sake of others. And those three also we need to steps. First, we need to try to practice this refrain from mistakes, right? Now you understand, right? When we say refrain from misdeed, what we are talking about? We are talking about not transgress your vow, which means not commit any of those, not break any of those precepts. If you are lower, if you are lower faculty of Mahayana practitioner, make sure don't break that one precepts. That's what it means, the refrain from misdeed. If you are a mediocre Mahayana practitioner, make sure not to commit any of those, not to break any of those 4 precepts. And if you are higher Mahayana practitioner, then make sure not to refrain from misdeed of those 20 precepts. That is what it is talking about. And then collecting positive actions. First we need to step on that. And when we are really capable to do all these things, then further, actually these 2 things we can do together too. No need to wait one and another. And we can also practice these 2 together, because this meditating for immeasurable and engaging into those 6 perfections actions, this also really, this action and this attitude, it's naturally have this power to maintain our bodhisattva. By engaging into those meditation for immeasurable, help us to maintain our bodhisattva. And when we maintain bodhisattva, then not transgressing any of bodhisattvas. Wow. And likewise, engaging into 6 perfection practice, generosity, morality, and so on, patience, diligence, and meditations, and wisdom. These action itself help us to maintain bodhisattva's vow. So this is what it means, that collecting positive actions here in accordance with the Mahayana. And then based on these 2 practice, then try to act for the sake of others. But has to base on these 2 practice. That acting for the sake of others, based on a refrain from misdeed, collecting the positive actions. Based on these 2, then act for the sake of others. And these are the practice that wholesome deed here. Okay, here what I'm describing, here it says, right? Here is now my chance for wholesome deed. What is wholesome deed? This is wholesome deed. Okay? Why I have chance to do this practice, to do this wholesome deed? Because I have all these conditions gathered now. That's why I have a chance for wholesome deed. Okay? But if I fail to practice virtue now, but on the other hand, while we having all these conditions, while you are capable, and then you know now what is the wholesome deed, what is the practice that you should try. And even understanding all these things, and if you are failed to practice these things, then what will be my load? What should I do, bewildered by the sorrow of the lower pain? If that when we are capable to do all this wholesome deed, if we are not do any of this, and if we just let flow in ourselves with whatever I think, if you just follow with it, then what will going to be happen is that, as we described this earlier, that if we flew with our mind, then this is how we will going to end up spending our whole life. If that's the case, then it's for sure that there's no any causes and condition left for oneself to be able to born in higher realms, which means now we have only causes and conditions within oneself to be able to born in lower realms. That's now regardless of like or dislike. Like or dislike is now doesn't work here. It is just like as normally I'm saying, as long as you committed any of the as long as you break any of law of this country, then the consequences of this breaking this law, regardless like or dislike, doesn't matter. You like or you dislike, doesn't matter. You need to face it. Police will going to force you to face it, right? Likewise, that as long as there's no any causes and condition for us to be able to born in higher realms, and particularly precious human rebirth, then whether we like or dislike, doesn't matter, that we will going to born somewhere else. That somewhere else, could becomes like even in the higher realms, very unfortunate places. And worst case, we will going to be born in lower realms. Imagine now this, spending whole our lifetime within those 8 worldly dharma, and then within this 4 mundane activity. And all these actions during those time, that what we really going to cultivate, accumulate, is the cause of lower realm. Yes, because we understand that cause of lower realm, how it becomes. Cause of lower realms, that actions which is related with the ignorant, it can become cause of animals. Actions which are related with the desire could become the cause of hungry goat. The actions which is related, drive by hatred, the cause of hell. And then now think, this is general. Now think that spending whole our time, whole life in doing those 8 worldly dharma and this 4 mundane activity, those activity will going to force us to have a hatred for sure, have a desire for sure, have an ignorant for sure. Then we will going to sometimes we will going to act some actions drive by all of these 3 poisons, actually. Sometimes, not necessarily always either of one. Sometimes our actions becomes like a drive by all of these 3 emotions, 3 afflictive emotions too. So now when we think about that, yes, then how to say, uh, this is now talking about not the losing the chance for wholesome deed. Okay, now it is talking based on you have a no chance for wholesome deed now, because if I fail to practice virtue, right? You have failed to practice virtue, then you are just flowing with your mind. You're following whatever your mind says. And when you follow whatever your mind says, your mind will going to tell you to do all these things. And that's how you're going to end up spending our life. When we end up spending our life in this way, then within this actions, that how many of those actions, most of those actions are derived by these three poisons. So which means that we have so many causes and conditions for oneself to go into lower realms. Highly likely, or the most chance that if we spend our time in this way, then we will definitely going to be born in lower realms. Like or dislike doesn't matter. If we are not spending whole our lifetime in this way, then that's a different case now. As I told you earlier, that having this great antidote is so important, especially people who do many wrong things, especially those persons needed this antidote, that be able to generate bodhicitta. Because this is the very great, powerful, strong antidote. It can destroy so many things. How it can destroy so many things, that look into the stanza number 6, the first chapter, stanza number 6, which we gone through actually already. That chapter number 6, it says, right, as this also I tried to remind you yesterday as well. The virtue thus is weak, and always evil is of great. Right? Always we spend most of the time on evil, then the virtue. Maybe we normally spend most of the time in neutral, and after neutral, non-virtue maybe. Then after non-virtue, then maybe virtue. Then after virtue, maybe beyond virtue, non-virtue. Maybe we are being able to spend a little bit time on that. But be able to spend time a little bit on that, that is a very great, strong antidote. That can be destroyed so big amount of your state, yes. But somehow, that is again more challenge than the spending time in virtues. Anyway, so here, virtue thus is weak, and always evil is of great and overwhelming strength. Except for perfect bodhicitta, what other virtue is there that can lay it low? See? For that, also this bodhicitta is so important. Even you are able to generate one moment, that is still very necessary. And then after they receive this bodhisattva's vow, and then meditating for immeasurable, then it is keeping prolonging, right? And always I'm telling you the kind of like the power of vow. Vow is so important. Vow itself, that as long as you maintain vow, and then even you don't do anything, maintaining this vow itself is keep creating, keep accumulating the merit, as long as you didn't break your vow. That is the another potential of vow. That's the why I always reminding this great master, strongly recommending that commitment and then maintain vow. Because somehow that this life or the environment force us to do many wrong things. And then these many wrong things can be avoided by maintaining these vows. And sometimes these two can be very contradictory too. One can destroy others. But still, we can take again, as I said, that if that the case sometimes happen, we can be like a third type of person, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. At least, then we don't give up completely, right? But somehow here, understand this stanza 6, right? In the first chapter, how Shantideva said this. That's how this Bodhicitta is so important to have, regardless. Regardless. It is so important to have. Try our best to have it, because this single one moment is the great antidote. It can destroy so many of our mistakes. And that, how to say, and not only the kind of like a not only the late law, okay, this Bodhicitta, not only for the late law our mistake, but that also can become conditions for oneself to achieve the realizations as well. As we understand through this Asanga history, right? Asanga history, that actually he practiced the Maitreya sadhana. He meditated on Buddha Maitreya 12 years. After 12 years, even he is not being able to see this Maitreya. He put so effort. He followed every instruction. And then in the final, what really final obscurations he is able to remove to able to see him because of compassion, right? And the final, that he is able to generate the genuine compassion towards the wounded dog who is about to die. And when he able to raise this genuine compassion towards some object, then he also tried his best to solve his problem. And that compassion, even after that Buddha Maitreya told him, when he tried to clean up this, save this dog, and he thought that if he used his hand, and this dog will going to be suffered by pain because of wrath. Then the most soft in his body is he thought it tongue. So I should use tongue to clean up this bacteria or whatsoever on that dog. And then he's tried to do like, what to say? He's trying to do this, right? I don't know what to say now. Huh? Oh, he tried to lick all this, what do you call it?
Louse.
Huh?
It's actually
All this wound,
maggots.
all these maggots, pus, whatsoever, right? He's trying to lick by his tongue. He thought that most soft in his body is the tongue.
He didn't want the maggots to die either.
That's why. And then he tried it. And then when he tried it, he touched his tongue to the earth. There's no actual drop there. And then that's the moment that he really saw it with the Maitreya. And then he also a little bit demanded at that time, I practiced you 12 years. Why you are so weak? Why your compassion is so weak that you are not being able to appear to me that long? Why it is take that long? He is a little bit demanding him as well. And then Buddha Maitreya told him, right, this is not the thing that you are not able to see me because of I'm not there. I'm there since you start practice me. But because of your own obscurations that you are not being able to see me, right now you really generate this genuine compassion. That really genuine compassions removed it, your great obscurations. Therefore, you are able to see me today. So now, the point here, what I'm trying to make you is that Bodhicitta is more than compassion, actually. Okay? Now here, it is not only for lay it law, but it is also becomes condition for us to achieve realization as well. One action does many jobs. That's the skillful in Mahayana. That kind of method is in Mahayana. That kind of many great method, it exists in Mahayana path. Therefore, those Mahayana, Vajrayana has this skillful means. One action can solve many problems. It can lay it low our mistake. It can help us to achieve realizations. It can help us to have a peace of mind. It can help us to reduce the self-centered attitude. It can help us to reduce our all afflictive emotions. It can also help us to not to let engage into karma, negative karma as well. See, this is really, I would say, intellectual. Yes, we can really see that. And then now, after through that, it is important to understand through intellectual. Then that we can see some potential or hope that, oh, there's some way that I can do it. Then we should try to do that. And trying that, and then which we can really see all these things happening while I'm able to generate this compassion, Bodhicitta. This is all things happened at that moment. Anyhow, so therefore, this Bodhicitta, the maintaining this Bodhisattva vow, and this when we have a chance for wholesome deed, and then it is so important to take it that advantage. But if I fail to practice virtue, then if we don't do this, then what we left on the other hand? Then, as I told you earlier, we left only causes and conditions to go down. There's no any causes and conditions left if we don't try those things. If someone trying those things, then that's a different case. Okay, that's the different case. If someone not trying any of this, but just following whatever one's mind says, then this is how we're going to end up spending our life. And if we end up spending our lifetime in this way, and we will going to gather many causes and conditions for oneself to go down. Then once we go down, then bewildered by the sorrow of the lower pain. And that now this is Shanti, they were kind of like raising the question. Once we fell down in these three lower realms, and then at that moment, there's no any, at that moment, once we born in a lower realm, at that moment, what do you think? There's anything that you can do it? You're just questioning, kind of like. Indirectly, he's saying there's no any way that you can do it now. That whatever you can do it is the now. If you delay now, once you fell down, there's no way you will going to get the chance for wholesome deed. You will not going to get the chance for wholesome deed. In short, that's the answer. Right now is the chance for wholesome deed. If you missed this chance, once you fell down, you will never going to get the chance of wholesome deed. This is what it is he is actually guiding. So therefore, understand this and then have a sense of carefulness to practice this, do this wholesome deeds, to have some sense of carefulness to willing to do this wholesome deed. And what wholesome deed I already described you, right? This is what wholesome deed is talking about. And then next is the Gewa Dagya Majela, Diba Dagya Yesana, Kalba Chiwa Jaren, then do giant figures. Never there performing any virtue, only ever peeling up my sins. And for the 100 million age, I will not even hear of happy destinies. So now this is Shantideva was talking about that based on that if we just spend like time like that, then you understand, right? When I'm saying if we just spend our time like that, I already described to you this. What does it mean, right? If we just spend our whole lifetime in this way, engaging into this 8 worldly concern, 8 worldly dharma, and 4 mundane activity, then which means you didn't never there performing any virtue. That makes you that. And then Dibadayan Yasana, only ever peeling up my sins. This is what it makes you. This is what it makes us if we spend our time in this way. If so, what will going to happen consequences? Then, and for the 100 million age, I will not even hear of happy destinies. If so, if we spend our time in that way, which means you didn't cultivate, accumulated any virtues, which means you accumulated many non-virtuous actions, which means the consequences at second 2 lines is describing the consequences of this spending our time in that way, right? Kalpa Chiva Gyayan, that they describe a million age. Actually, Kalpa is more than million. It cannot compare with a million. I told you, right? The Kalpa has a 2 stage, Parkal and Kalchen. Kalchen is the one great Kalchen, great Kalpa. Great Kalpa is count like this universe, start, remain, and then destroy, empty. For each of this one has a 20 Parkal, 20 Parkal, 20 Parkal, 20 Parkal. 80 Parkal becomes one great eon. And then Parkal has a 18-digit number. Therefore, I'm saying million is nothing. Million is how many digit? 7 digit. So how can we compare this 7 digit with 18 digit? This is actually talking about Parkal, not the Great Kalpa. So the Great Kalpa has a 22 digit. This is roughly estimated by I think this is roughly estimated by first Dalai Lama. He is curious about this Kalpa's year, I think. That's how he calculates that one Kalpa how many age can become one Kalpa. Then that's how some information is there. But it seems like not really, it is rough still. It seems like it's rough. I don't know how it is very exact, correct or not. But somehow it is showing the million cannot compare. That's for sure. Million is only 7 digit. When we talk about great Kaaba, it is actually beyond our concept. Its numbers are beyond our concept. That we never even imagined those numbers. That we have kind of like a billion, trillion, and then what do you call it? Quadrillion, isn't it? Billion, trillion, quadrillion. After quadrillion, there's no any words, names to say it. Billion is 13 digit, isn't it? Is it not 13, maybe 11? 7. It's 10, right? 10, yes, 10. And then the trillion is 13. Quadrillion is 16. See, even quadrillion is not reaching the Parkal. 16, still 2 digit left. So this is what it will going to have consequences. That why this is going to be consequences that Shantideva talks later here. We'll describe you later why. Here, this information is that if we just spend our time like this way, which means you don't have any accumulations of marriage, which means you accumulated lots of demarriage, which means the consequences, what you are going to face is that you are not going to even hear the name of, hear the happy destiny for eons and eons. He just said that. And how it will going to take eons and eons, he will going to describe later. We will going to discuss later. Okay? How it could becomes that long. They do giant human euros. The need chirna chomden jays, Janso chirin yashing bugar river to the nation to talk songs. This is why Lord Buddha has declared that like a turtle that perchance can place its head within a yoke deep upon the mighty sea, this human birth is difficult to find. Because this human rebirth is some sort of like a result or the fruitions of a wholesome deed. If you don't have any wholesome deed, there's no way that you can achieve this human again. To achieve, to how to say, gain again, to born again human, you must have at least some wholesome deed. Not having any wholesome deed, there's no way that one can reborn again as a human. And more like this discipline. The exact cause to be born in higher realms is the discipline, the self-discipline. Generally, any kind of virtuous actions can become conditions, but the exact cause is that. So the point here, Shantideva, until this stanza number 20, he's trying to making us. So you should understand that what you really have capabilities right now, and don't miss it, that opportunity, and have some sense of carefulness when you get all this opportunity. To have some sense of carefulness to practice the Mahayana path. And that's the one idea that he's giving us to raise the sense of carefulness. And again, I told you, if this information really helps you to raise this sense of carefulness, the purpose is done. And you don't need any others. If not, and then keep continue. Keep continue, next stanza 20. 1 and 22. And now here this 21 and 22, really he's describing how it can become that long, right? How it can become that long that he said already in this stanza number 19 that you will never, that I will not even hear of happy destinies for millions of ages, right? How? Now he's describing. If through the evil action of single instant I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, the evil in samsara stored from time without beginning, no need to say that they will keep me from the state of bliss. They will keep me away, isn't it? Do we need to add? No need. Just this is enough?
It's enough.
It's enough. No need to say that they will keep me from the state of bliss. It just keep me means it really talking about keep me away from this bliss of state. Okay. And mere experience of such pain does not result in being freed from it. For in the very suffering of such state, more evil will occur, and then in great abundance. Now this is the reason why it can be last there eons and eons. You understand now? These things are not so difficult to understand, right? Kejik digbe jang kalpar nami ne jona thome khurwa saudi dendro mindro mejibe dezam khona nyong june deni namtar mejibe tedar deni nyong shindo digba shinda ratu kes. That how if okay, now this is the if through the evil action of single instant, as I described tell you the history before, that is also that one single lie became condition for him to suffer many lifetimes, right? Before we talk about that history, that what do you call it, generosity and morality. You remember that last week, isn't it? That normally he is good, he is honest, but to his own nephew, right? For his own nephew, because of he got some money from the others, then he lied, right? That one action. This is what it is like that. If through the evil action of single instant, I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, then the evil in the samsara stored from time without beginning, no need to say that they will keep me from the state of bliss. You see, now this is again, we need to understand based on the same way that not using that opportunity, not utilizing that chance for wholesome deed. But on the other hand, we're spending whole our time in this mundane dharma, 8 worldly dharma and 4 mundane activity. And those each and every single actions can become conditions for oneself to fall down in lower realms and stay there for eons. Then no need to say if you do this every day, every single day and end up your life, then no need to say. But this now, actually in a commentary, it is explaining not every single, actually these are considering like some sort of like a great non-virtuous actions, some sort of like a criticizing the bodhisattvas and buddhas, and then such as a committing heinous karma, and then anger itself. Yes, anger itself is the moment of anger can destroy can become conditions for oneself to stay eons and eons in hell. Yes. And those actions is more likely, those actions can become really that if through the evil action of single instant, I must spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, which more highly reference to those actions. Okay? The anger. And then criticizing those, criticizing those venerable, let's say, right? Criticizing those venerable, like such as the Bodhisattvas, Buddhas, criticizing those. And then committing heinous karma, heinous actions, like killing father, mother, and then killing the arhat, and then dividing the sangha members, and then wounding the Buddhas, right? Making wound to Buddhas. Now we never know those Buddhas, so try not to make anybody wound. So these kind of actions, particularly here, I think we should take. Other than those actions, we can take a little lightly, but still, it's hard to differentiate. But these kind of actions, yes, action itself is very strong actions. And that really can become a condition for oneself to spend even in the hell of unrelenting pains. If that's the case, if we spend, let's say now imagine, if we spend whole our life doing those things and not avoiding those wholesome deeds, okay? Avoiding those wholesome deeds and doing these things. You are clear, right? You are clear. While we doing these things, within this period, how many times we have to anger? See? How many times we have to anger? Every single day, even having a baby makes you anger every single day. Isn't it? Yes, I can see this. Right? So each anger, it can become this condition for the great condition that anger itself is very strong bad karma. And then having a family, anger is always involved. And we also have to careful. Even having a sangha member, it can become condition for anger too. We need to be careful too. Oh, this is our sangha member. And somebody say about this our sangha member, then immediately reaction is there. Why are you criticizing our sangha member? That can also become condition for you to anger. Whatsoever, anger is not allowed. Regardless, you can solve problem without anger. Anger is not a requirement to solve problem. But we ordinarily assume that without anger, I won't be able to act. In order me to act, to solve the problem, I must have some anger. If I didn't anger, how can I act? That's great assumption is there. We don't really need to have that strong assumption. We can remove that assumptions. And we can say, yes, there's a way that I can talk, I can solve, I can react without anger too. And many situations can become condition for anger, actually. many situations. And then, like for example, oh, he's criticizing my teacher. Oh, that's anger. See? And that at that time, even people didn't think that is wrong. They think I'm doing something right. They're doing that with a proud, actually. No. Even somebody criticizing your teacher, they're making bad karma themselves. Why you need to involve in there? You don't need to involve there to get angry, and you also accumulate the bad karma together with that person. Just ignore that. If there's something you can tell it. Do it. Tell it. This is you misunderstand. You can say it. But anger is not something requirement. But somehow we have this very strong assumption that without anger, I won't be able to react. And that is something we should try to remove this from our mind. It is not 100% necessary. I'm not saying this is easy too, either. Yes. It is not easy, yes. But somehow it is very possible. If there is a possibility, then there's some hope that we can try. And if we try, it makes our natural. Then later, we can just act all this without anger, automatically. Just like our cooking. That first day cooking is very difficult. We don't know how to order all this. First, even dishwash, we messed up washing this first and then putting here, cleaning, and then washing again, like that. If somebody who is skillful, they wash only one time, and then they make it everything order and easy. Time is short, easy they make food. Even in making a food, there's some way skillful means that we can done easily. If you don't have that skill, then it takes 1 hour to finish. And then you make 3-4 container mess. Unnecessary. Like that, right? So likewise here, 3-4 containers making mess is like that. That somebody say, you get anger. And you also involved there. You're making another extra mess. Anyhow, so now here think that if we don't try to spend our time in wholesome deed, then what if we just follow our mind, whatever it says, and this is how we are going to end up spending our time. If we end up spending our time in this way, then within that period, definitely we will going to encounter with this kind of actions numberlessly, right? Even within one life, then no need to say about beginning lifetime to now. If those single instant that if it can becomes condition for oneself to spend an eon in the hell of unrelenting pain, then no need to. Then the evil in samsara is stored from time without beginning. Now imagine that. Then no need to say that they will keep me from the state of bliss. And then now this two stanza is one together, okay? One meaning is showing that this two stanza he's really showing that how it can last long. I told you that. Answer is coming later. And before in stanza number 19, he just said, you will not going to hear happy destinies, millions of age. How? Now this is the clear answer. How? It is because of that you have this much causes and conditions for you to stay there. Since you have this great causes and conditions to stay there, you will never going to come out easily. And then now further, this is the now again, further, not only that causes and condition now, the very unfortunate is further. Okay? We have already these causes and conditions, many these causes and conditions for us to stay very long enough there. Plus, additional, further, what is going to be happen is, and mere experience of such pain of our past causes and condition does not result in the being freed from it. Why? Because for in the very suffering of such state, more evil will occur again. You see? This is the why. Now, once we fell down, remain there kind of like a forever. Because of this, more evil will occur, and then in great abundance. What is that great abundance? In Tibetan we say like that while you experiencing your past karma, at the same time you are creating new karma for yourself to stay longer there. So now you see, and this is the regard to this topic. This there's the Kempo Kumbhal, he wrote this, the Bodhicharyavatara's commentary, and he said this one. This is very interesting actually. He said that when we really carefully contemplate on this, how this karma works, then it really becomes like this. Once we fell down in lower realms, then we go lower, 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 and lower. Because we're facing these consequences, at the same time we're creating another cause together. Yes, those animals, for example, I will give you a very rough example. Animals. Let's say I beat the animal. That is something that animals is having a consequences of his own bad actions, right? At the same time, these animals will really going to get angry to me, for sure. Now this angry becomes cause for him, this animal itself, to experience another consequences. This is very rough example. Likewise, that we can see that animal, once you're born in animal, whole life spending, their surviving is also really much related with the harm. Right? Their survive is related with the harm. Harming others is their survive. They cannot survive without harming, without killing. And then now, these killing actions, they're doing with all these intentions. They know object, they're willing to kill, they, do it action, other will be die. All these actions is involved. That really becomes the killing actions. And then that killing actions becomes the exact cause for itself to go again another consequences. And then not just one killing. He will not going to survive by killing one animal. Then he will go into storage, killing a karma, store. And when it becomes strong, then it can become cause to hang hungry ghost. Then he go further down. And even it becomes stronger, and it can become cause to go even further down hell. And in a hell, constantly suffer and angry, all of this is there. Therefore, this Kimbukumbal, he said, when we really contemplate how this karma can work and all these things, and he said, I never found it any solutions once we fall down. And if there's somebody could really help us to remove this my confusion. I didn't found now any solutions there once we fell down. Once fell down, then down, 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 down. You never come up. That's what he said, his opinion, okay? You don't have to take so serious there. This is what he, through his wisdom or intelligence, that's what he found it. That's what he said. Okay, so this is so confusion for me. Now I don't have any intelligence to understand this. Someone there explain me this, how it can be solved. I will appreciate it. Now, we can think, is there any way that it can come out? Historically, it's proved that some histories are there. But still, it is rare. But still, I think right now at the human's time, if we do mix, then there will be some potential. If we practice sometimes compassion, loving kindness, and that seed is there, right? And when you don't go down, this is exactly Shakyamuni Buddha, how he come out, right? We know that history, how he came out from hell. He generated this loving kindness to others. He generated this compassion to his colleague. his colleague of isn't it colleague? How can I call? Partner? His friend? Not friend, they are no friend. Somehow who's working together. They work together, right? And that's colleague, I think, isn't it?
Are they getting paid for that?
Huh?
Are they getting paid for that?
No. Yeah, they get paid. They paid their karma. They paid their,
They're not getting paid, they're paying.
They get paid, yeah, they get paid. They get paid. Anyhow, so that's how Shakyamuni Buddha came out from hell, right? This is maybe something while we are in a human, when we have this capability doing something good deed, that we're going to seed some small seed inside. And maybe when some great conditions occur at that moment, maybe that seed can grow at that moment. There could be hope, yes. But I don't have fully confident to answer his question. But somehow this history proved, right? But anyhow, Kempo Kumbal, yes, he said this one, that now I don't really understand that how one can get out from that state. If that's the case, isn't it? That is the exactly case happening actually. He experienced, that person is experiencing his consequences, and same time he is creating another karma. Same together. It's going like this. Together. He's experiencing consequences of past, but at the same time, he's creating consequences for the future. That's what he said, that I didn't really get this solution now. Someone can tell me this, how can it solve? Anyhow, that's the why. And mere experience of such pain does not result in being freed from. For in the very suffering of such a state, more evil will occur and then in great abundance. That's now really Shantideva is trying to tell us. It is so important for you to make sure that you never fell down. Once you fell down, this is what will going to happen. So understanding that, and he also wants us to have some sense of carefulness that what we have right now, capability, and then what we have right now, chance to wholesome deed, it is something very precious, great opportunity. You should take it. Never lose it. This is the point, okay? Through this, don't to make it scare. This is not the purpose to make it scare others. And I always saying that many people have a misconception about this karma teachings. Actually, this is also like here, Shantideva. This is until now, it is all four thoughts is coming, right? Samsara is describing here. Precious human reverse is describing here. Impermanent is describing here. So this fourth thought is always important to have a really sense of careful, to have a really confident on a spiritual path. This is talking about the defeat of samsara. And then law of causality also. It's sort of Yava, the wholesome deed and non-wholesome deed. Wholesome deed is this. Non-wholesome deed is this. Non-wholesome deed consequences is samsara. Once you samsara, even furthermore lower rungs, then it's almost done, then finish. So the point is that Shantideva is trying to tell us, right now we have this point is that Buddha appeared in this world and true faith is there and attainment of human is there. Plus additional condition, you have enough health, food, there's no any danger, harming, disturbing. Now this is the great opportunity. And this great opportunity is also very unreliable, very uncertainty. Plus, this body is also just rented. We have to give back sooner or later for sure. So while you rent this, utilize this what you rent properly. So make sure that you have a better house to rent in the future. From ordinary to go to the luxury house. Luxury to celestial palace. Celestial palace to pure land. Then go up, rent like that. Vibhashandaram Brigades. Okay, so here we stop. So that's I think that's it. So if you have question, we can discuss. Do we have some solutions how once we fell down that how we can come out? Mm-hmm.
Not unless you can remember your past lives.
Huh?
Not unless you can remember your past lives.
Unless
if you can remember your past lives, and if you can remember the conditions which got you to that place of suffering and being in the lower realm, then you would be able to see what you need to do to stop being there.
Not really. At that time, you will remember why you are there.
But I mean, say if you come back as like a bird, I lived a life and I was very ignorant, and I came back as an animal, like a bird. Would I have the mental capacity to understand my past lives and what made me a bird in the first place?
But I'm not sure. But some hell beings, they will going to have that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, some hell beings, when they born there and then they suffer, and they feel regret by their mistake. They understand some of their mistake, but still, there's no any conditions for them to have some sense of like a faith and those things, right? Loving kindness. Shakyamuni Buddha, he got a chance to have some sort of like compassion towards his colleague. That actually there's a more condition actually. But somehow you are stuck yourself. Therefore, you are not being able to even think those others because somebody who have a so selfish, first they will think, first I have to get out, right? Forget about what my friends is struggling. That's the problem, I think. One result is because of you have this strong self-centered attitude. That's why you are there, right? That's complicated now here. That's how Kempo Kumbal got confused that I don't get any way to get out from there now. Somehow, right at this time, right now, which we are kind of like we encounter with the teaching, and we have some sort of like confidence or faith in teaching, and we have this capability to practice it. And plus those conditions, healthy, having enough facilities. And very great opportunity. This is now Shandita saying, this is, you should not miss it. You should have some sense of care to engage into wholesome deed. Don't just spend whole our life doing this 8 working dharma, doing this 4 mundane activity. It takes some time to spend on wholesome deed. It's absolutely, it is very good if we are able to spend 100%, but not at least try best as much as we could. 90, 80, 70. Not less than 50%. Huh? Half and half. Not less than half and half. Try to more 60 to 40, 70 to 30, 80 to 20, 90 to 10, and 0 to 100.
But here,
yeah,
it was still thinking on all the lower realms and how Bodhisattva and Buddha, they go there and help them. How does it work? If the centering is still, you stuck right there. Okay, you just think about yourself, self-centered, and even Buddha and who they do the wisdom activity, and how can they connect? How can they liberate all the centering?
Actually, there are many histories that they helped those great masters went there and helped, that removed, they release from that, those helpings. That kind of many histories are there. But somehow it is very difficult as I said. It is so challenging. This is now something that we cannot really direct perceive, right? We cannot direct perceive those things. But when we can really understand through the karma, then it becomes very difficult, isn't it, right now here? Karma, that which we can see really clear. Then if it goes accordance with the karma, then it becomes so difficult, because it is right that they will going to create another karma while they are experiencing past karma. And then in history, that which we cannot really directly perceive, that kind of histories are there, that some great masters, they went and they helped. Even during the Shakyamuni Buddha's time too, right? Shariputra and Mongoliana, they went, they tried to save that. But unfortunately, Mongoliana. And then yes, the now that you were answered yesterday, this for the mediocre Mahayana practitioners, 4 precepts. The first is the bodhisattvas, abandoning bodhicitta, which means aspiration bodhicitta now. Aspiration bodhicitta is like that not abandoning any beings. And worst case scenario, it is talking about that even somebody who really harmed you, but still you are not giving up. If there's something that you can benefit that person, I will try my best to do it. That sense. That's the worst scenario case. But normally, we will not going to have that often, right? So we can maintain this, willing to help every sentient being's aspiration bodhicitta. That's the 1 precept. As I told you, that will going to be there within 4. And then the second one is Chalban Sena Mizebe Longa Jimbar Mijeta. That out of desire, out of stingy, not giving to the beggar. You understand? That is now really related with this now here again. In this Bodhicharyavatara, we really studied that what we really can offer is what? 3 things, right? You remember 3 things that which we really can offer. Voluntarily, or kind of like serving others is the one way of offering, right? Serving. This is like your physical and verbal serving others. Kind of like working in some kind of the hospitals voluntarily. That is also your offering. You're offering. This is the way of offering body, right? Offering body. And then offering wealth. You're kind of like offering money, or your things, or all kind of like offering tables who need tables, offering glass who need glass, offering food who needs food, offering clothes who need clothes. These all are wealth. Wealth, not only money, okay? All the kind of like things, all the things which belongs to you, giving, that's offering wealth. And then offering merit. Offering merit means now knowledge. Knowledge. share the knowledge. Right? Share the knowledge that what you have understanding about whatsoever, who really needs that education, you're sharing your knowledge. For instance, someone wants to know how to cook. You know how to cook, and you're teaching. That's also offering. That's also offering the merit. Small things, actually, this one, small things, right? And then that you can offer more in a school to your classmate, and especially when it is about to examination, then you can offer education. At that time, your classmates are very needed. They will going to beg all this education to their friends, right? I did that too when I was studying. We did that. We share it. We kind of like during the break time, and we gathered in a tea shop, and then we discuss. And then we put everything in table, and whoever wants take it. We put in table. It does not mean like a 1 cup. Okay, education is not like this 1 cup. This cup only can take by 1 person. Education, if you put it in table, it can take by 100 peoples, no problem. If I put this cup in table, only can take by 1 people. If you put your education on table, it can take 1,000 peoples. You can offer to the 1,000 peoples, not like materials. Okay, you understand? So these are the 3 things we already learned. Shandideva also said, right? That's why it is also saying, Ridang Deshin Long Jekun. Ridang Deshin Long Jekun. Desum giving Mobuna, Pomba Meba, without holding anything. Just offer letting it go. Body, wealth, and Desum giving meritorious. The meritorious means most of the time it's like educations, sharing informations. So this is now Chalna Sena Mizebe, out of desire and stingy. Even you have this capability. Even somebody wants from you, you're not giving. That breaks Bodhisattva's vow. Understand? But it's still here. Don't misunderstood the here body offering. Okay, I already mentioned this one many times. As I told you earlier, body offering means that working for somebody, serving somebody, like somebody ill, and then you are doing nurses. That's the way of offering body. And some community needs help, and you going there and cleaning. That's the way of body offering. And cooking for somebody. That's the way of offering body. That is stage now. Other than those things, you don't really need to think of body offering, okay? These are the means that offering body. And then, wealth is easy to understand. Body can be misunderstood that, people, right? No, you shouldn't misunderstood this. And wealth is clear. But also, still wealth. It's complicated. Not to give, as I always saying, that somebody who begs cigarette and you giving cigarette. See, that's also something wrong. You are not giving this, not because of desire and stingy. It is because of willing to help them, right? That's different. That doesn't break Bodhisattva's vow here. Okay? Not giving other has to come out of stingy and desire. And then education. Education, this developed country has this big problem. They hide their educations each other, right? Even small things that if somebody found it that ingredients to make a very nice food, they hide this idea to others. That's really, I think, derived by stingy actually. If someone asks you, oh, how you make it, can you tell me those all ingredients? Then you say, this is easy. You walk away. Huh? That's now actually you get a chance to do some wholesome deed here. And out of stingy, if you don't offer that good becomes here now. But not really those small things. But anyhow, that second precept is that for the middle Mahayana practitioner, right? Middle Mahayana practitioner. And then the third precept is Jinde Gawashebana, Senjanani Misube Chube Senjan Devana. The mainly this out of anger, beating others. Out of anger. Beating others. And especially the saying like Jinde Gawachebana. Some person may be kind of like it can be taken like this, I think. Out of impatience, out of anger, and then beating somebody can break your bodhisattva's power. Now this anger. You see, anger is always a problem there. And then the final one, fourth one is this is now something like that. For example, being a bodhisattva oneself, and then now, when you teaching something, in reality, it is not something really correct. But you are teaching something that it should be okay. You can practice that way. That can break my vow. You modified it, you fabricate it. It is related with the emotion, afflictive emotion. It is really becomes the bad karma, but it seems like it is nice. For instance, we can really rough put this example like giving cigarette to the begging cigarette somebody. And somebody can really describe you, this is good thing you are doing, right? I think it is good that he really needed. If he didn't get a cigarette from you, he may become crazy. Just give it. If I say this, if I advise in this way, that is something not dharma, but I modified it and I make it looks dharma and then let others to do it. Right? means tar means make it like. Actually, it is not dharma. Make it like dharma and then fabricate it, modify it, and then show it. Show to the others and let others to do practice that. If I am bodhisattva, and if I do this to other, then it breaks my bodhisattva's vow. This is the four precepts for the for the middle Mahayana practitioner can practice these 4 precepts. Clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Then we go home. Sunam de thamje zibani Pumne Nyebe Janam Amjene, Shega Manche Walan Trubaye, Sibe Zolen Rowan Rovarashu, Jamba Pawe Jidra Kimbana, Kundu Sambo Deyan Deshende, Dega Kunji Jesu Dalochi, Yewan Dega Tamche Rabdo Mo, Yewan Yeshe Okun, Sanam Yeshe Tozoni, Lejongwe, Tamba Kun, Obarasho, Sanje Kusum, Nipe Chinam, Chingi Mingyuru Dembe Chinam, Gendem Meche Dembe Chinam, Jidar Moam Obarasho. By this beneficial activity, may I obtain omniscience, and having vanquished the harmful enemy, greed, anger, delusion, may I liberate all beings tossed about helplessly by the wave of birth, aging, illness, and death in the ocean of becoming. By conforming to the knowledge of courageous Manjushri, Jambalyan, and in the same way as Samandabhadra, Kundusambo, and following their example, I dedicate perfectly all this virtue. By this virtue, may all beings perfectly achieve the accumulation of knowledge, swana, and wisdom, yeshe, and may they thereafter obtain the two holy bodies which result from these two accumulations. By the blessing of the Buddha, Sangye, who obtained the three bodies, by the blessing of the immutable truth of the Dharmata, Chuni, by the blessing of the infallible aspirations of the Sangha, Genyin, may this prayer of dedication be accomplished just as it is. Thank you.
Thank you.